You're listening to another Trading Constellations short story. Today's story is the second installment of Leah's Game. The cafe was warm and fragrant with coffee and toasted bread, sunlight slicing through the windows in long, golden beams. Donovan pushed open the door, letting the bell announce his arrival. He spotted Marissa immediately, red hair catching the morning light, fingers curled around a steaming cup, shoulders slightly hunched in that shy, tentative way. Her dark-haired friend, Leah, sat across the table, leaning forward with an easy grin, speaking a mile a minute. Every so often, she nudged a sugar packet across the table, arranging them like tiny chess pieces. "See," she said, tapping a cube with a finger. "You have to anticipate your moves before he does." Her eyes flicked up at Donovan, sparkling with playful mischief. He shook his head and chuckled softly, letting the warmth of the room and the lively energy around them settle into a gentle hum. "Morning," he said, sliding into the booth. "I hope you don't mind me intruding." "Not at all," Marissa said, her voice quiet, almost hesitant. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, glancing at him from under lowered lashes. "I just needed a break from the store. Lots of inventory to go through." "That sounds intense," Donovan said. "I know the feeling. I've been running my uncle's bookstore since he passed. Small corner shop, but I'm trying to keep it alive for the neighborhood." Marissa's eyes brightened slightly. "Really? That must be a lot of work." "It is," he admitted, glancing at her with a small, playful smile. "But worth it. His regulars keep me busy with old stories about my uncle." Leah leaned back, eyes narrowing mischievously. "Sounds like you two are kindred spirits, then." She tapped a sugar cube across the table again. "Strategically speaking, you're in a good position." Marissa glanced down at her cup, cheeks coloring faintly. "I guess. It's different, though. I inherited my grandmother's store, so I'm just figuring out what I'm supposed to do with it." "I can imagine," Donovan said gently. "It's a lot to take on, but it sounds like she left it in good hands. I used to visit her when I was younger, helping with odd jobs. She had a way of making the place feel special." Marissa's breath caught slightly at the mention of her grandmother. She let her gaze flicker to Donovan's face, then quickly away, fidgeting with the edge of her sleeve. He noticed how her fingers traced the rim of her cup, and how her gaze lingered a fraction longer than necessary when he smiled. "Special is a good word," Leah said, leaning over and giving Marissa a gentle nudge. "You'll make it yours, Marissa. You already have the spark for it." She arched a brow at Donovan. "And you might consider making a few strategic moves yourself." Donovan laughed, shaking his head. "I'm trying to be patient." His glance met Marissa's, who gave a faint, shy smile and tucked another strand of hair behind her ear. "So, what's the plan?" he asked Leah, tilting his head slightly. "For the store, I mean." "Well," Leah said, her voice softening as she glanced at Marissa. "She's thinking of fresh ideas, maybe a boutique, a small cafe corner, flowers. Something to draw people in." She smirked slightly at Donovan. "You'd be surprised how much planning goes into it when you have ambition. And Marissa, she's careful, thoughtful. She'll do well. Marissa's cheeks flushed again, her eyes flicking to Donovan. I just want to honor her vision, she said quietly. You're doing fine, he said, letting the words hang between them. His tone was gentle, encouraging, trying not to let his own admiration slip into anything more obvious. Leah leaned back, crossing her arms, watching them with a sly, amused expression. She made a subtle show of sipping her coffee, but didn't miss the small gestures, the way Donovan's eyes followed Marissa's every movement, the slight tilt of her head as she smiled, the almost imperceptible brushing of her fingers against the table when he spoke. You two should go slow, Leah teased softly, but also not too slow. Donovan shook his head, laughing. She's patient, he said, glancing at Marissa, who blushed and still played with her hair. The conversation drifted into smaller topics, books, favorite coffee blends, neighborhood anecdotes. But beneath the words, a quiet rhythm hummed between them. A subtle game of moves and countermoves, mirrored in sugar cubes and glances, framed their interactions. Donovan noted each tiny smile, every fleeting touch of hands when passing plates, and the way Marissa's eyes lingered on him, shy but warm. For a moment, Donovan thought he could stay like this forever. The warmth of the cafe, the sunlight, the gentle curiosity in Marissa's eyes, and Leah's humor making it all feel natural. The quiet tension was electric, but understated, each teasing comment from Leah exposing the chemistry, while Marissa's reserve held it just shy of full flame. And in the corner, Leah's sly smile lingered like a shadow at the edge of the sunlight. Her eyes sparkled with mischief, a playful glint that suggested she saw more than anyone else in the room, and that she might gently, deliberately, nudge the world toward her own designs. There was warmth there, too, a sincerity that made her seem trustworthy. Yet the tilt of her mouth hinted that even her kindest intentions could be bent, redirected, or complicated by her cleverness. Watching her, it was impossible not to feel that beneath the laughter and teasing, her ambitions pulsed quietly, like a current just strong enough to alter the course of whatever, or whomever, came too close. Leah tended to get her way, and most succumbed to her will and whims. Later, they returned to the antique store. A small terrier mix trotted along the floor, bow perched slightly crooked on its head. Marissa bent to scratch behind its ears. The dog sniffed at Donovan's hand, then pressed a little into his side, tail wagging. You've made a friend already, Marissa said, smiling. I get along with animals, Donovan said, letting the dog sniff his jacket. It bristled slightly, then leaned in. He laughed quietly, and the little terrier let out a tiny yip, as if in approval. Marissa checked her watch. I have to meet the delivery driver. A package I'm waiting for is arriving right now. She tucked a few papers into her bag. Don't let the dog eat anything while I'm gone. Of course, he said. She left quickly, the bell on the door jingling behind her. The terrier padded after her a few steps, then returned to Donovan, nudging his hand again. Leah appeared from the back, leaning against a shelf. She stepped backward too close to a stack of books and stumbled slightly. Donovan reached out instinctively, catching her. His hand pressed gently against the small of her back, and her chest crushed against his. She laughed softly, a little breathless, and for a moment they just stayed like that, silent, holding a hug a bit too close until she got her footing. She could smell his aftershave and feel the scruff of his jaw. When they parted slightly, she was reluctant to let go of his hand. "Careful," he said finally, stepping back slightly. "I'm fine," she said, eyes sparkling, her laugh still hovering. "But thanks." Leah blushed and tried to hide it behind well-kept hair. Leah tilted her head, studying him. "Funny thing about you," she said. "You react before you think. That catch smooth, instinctive. It's attractive." She let the words settle. Donovan listened, but the pause between them felt heavier than the words. Leah's gaze lingered on him, teasing, bold. There was something thrilling in the tension, something that made her lean just a little closer than propriety should allow. He shifted, a smile tugging at his lips, aware of the heat in the shared space. He realized Leah was still holding his hand, fingers lingering for a moment, but she finally let go when she heard a voice cut across the store. "Hello. Anyone still here?" Marissa was back, papers in hand, and the little terrier yipped, racing to her side. Leah stepped back, eyes sparkling. Donovan straightened, and for a moment the three of them paused. Marissa re-entered the antique store and scooped up her little dog and invited Donovan to accompany her to the groomers. Donovan caught the shift immediately. She was more direct now, less guarded, her shoulders squared and her attention fixed on him, as if the decision had already been made. Leah noticed it too. Her smile surfaced quickly, smooth and practiced, yet it landed a fraction late, her eyes flicking between them before she nodded along. Leah had a need to feel in control, and letting them see each other alone didn't bring that feeling. She wants Donovan for herself, while simultaneously leading them like people in her doll house. A soft morning slipped into early afternoon, the hours folding gently between errands and quiet moments, until they found themselves at the groomers, the little terrier tugging eagerly ahead. The little groomer's shop smelled of shampoo and cedar, sunlight slanting through dusty windows onto the tiled floor. Marissa led the way, the small terrier trotting close at her heels, bow slightly askew, nose twitching with curiosity. Donovan followed, hands tucked in his pockets, watching how Marissa moved with easy confidence, gentle but purposeful, and how the dog leapt toward him at every pause, sniffing, circling, and then settling into the crook of his arm like it had always known him. The two moved around the grooming stations, Marissa adjusting the dog's collar, Donovan crouching briefly to steady a wobbling paw, their movements overlapping with a quiet, unspoken rhythm. The dog pawed gently at his sleeve, nudged against Marissa, and then pressed its little head into Donovan's chest, tail wagging furiously, bridging the distance between them. In those small gestures, hands brushing over fur, glances meeting over a crate, the soft thrum of canine trust, The day felt suspended, playful, and intimate, as if the shop itself had folded them into a private little world of warmth, laughter, and something just beginning to grow between them. You've been listening to Leah's Game, a Trading Constellations short story. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time